Um, well, hello YouTube. This is going to be a first for me, in that I'm going to be doing a review video. So I'm not going to say the quality is going to be good, it's probably going to be awful. But that is our plan, and we're going to see how it goes. If we're going to carry on doing what we're doing. And going through games and everything, and then putting a little review video out at the end. I'm not going to say it's going to be long, because I hate speaking and I hate listening to myself. But so the video today is going to be on Shady Part of Me. It's a indie game produced by Doofus that I am very sorry for butchering your name on, and it's published by Focus Home Interactive. That's over for publishing crap like Farm and Simulator. Most of the Warhammer games have recently been Space Marine 2 and Bolt Gun, and also have a fairly big part in Insurgency as well. But we'll go back to the Shady Part of Me. It was released in December 2020 for Windows, Switch, PS4, Xbox One. So while this is a massively late review for it, but as of recently, it came up on Game Pass. I say recently, from when I recorded this in February in 2025. It's been on Game Pass for Windows and had good scores from Metacritic, from the lowest being 73 to the highest being 80. But let's talk more about what the Shady Part of Me. So it's an indie thought-provoking puzzles is the way to put it. You play as two different characters. You play as Shadow, what you can see behind me at the minute during the prologue, and you play as a little girl who seem like they're going through a therapy area, because between all the acts, what there are four of, you are playing through sessions that are all named differently. But what it is there are four acts with the prologue, bringing in a mechanic each time that it slowly increases with difficulty, with the new mechanic being the most prominent. Yeah, Matthew, you write your script, that'll help. With the mechanic being the most prominent way to solve the puzzles during the introduction of it through that act, whether it be introduced in a session during the act or through the act. But it's not bringing in puzzles that are incredibly hard for you to understand. There'll be bits where you sit there and just go, oh, I'm a moron, I should have figured that one out. Well, I did quite a few times through it. But we'll slowly go through all the acts, what they're saying, what they're kind of what the gameplay is for it all. And then at the end, I'll lump in my thoughts of what I thought about it. Would I recommend it? Would I recommend you buying it if it was there instead of on Game Pass? And just what I think would have been nice to improve it a little bit. So for the prologue, it's just introducing you to the two characters. You start off with Shadow, you go through your little bits of puzzles, and as you can now see behind me, you then go into the little girl to see the 3D world of it instead of the 2D world. And as you're going through, you get parts of the text on the floor that's part of the story as well, and sort of gives you subtle hints on how to achieve other bits into the game, like at the moment where it's saying safe and unsafe for the light being on and off. And then that will take you into Act 1 that goes through the hospital area, and that's slightly dreamlike for when you move further through. But it's where you're moving stuff basically as the little girl to try and create shadows for Shadow to move through hers a bit better, and how they're looking for an exit from the hospital because the little girl wants to be back with friends, castles, and everything like that. while Shadow feels trapped. What then sort of brings you into Act 2, really. It starts off with you waking up in a padded room, what increases the more the idea that they're trapped in what seems like a mental institution. What I don't think it is. I think it's just what they're seeing it as. And what also plays into more of the bit that you're playing through someone's therapy session. What's quite good. But they find each other in the room after the start bit of in the mental facility because they thought that they lost each other. And it is, God, Matthew, where do you got to on the read a bit? You aren't very good at fucking reading. I don't know why you wrote something like this out. Oh, trap. They're still trying to look for the exit, talking to each other, learning a little bit more about each other. And then it starts getting to the blame for both of them being lost or losing each other. That also brings in they call him the other, or that's what the achievement calls him, was the other. And he is he's the therapist, is the basis of it. But the therapist is then starting to get involved a bit more, turning around, asking them why they fear the light, why they fear inside, why they fear, trying to get to the root of their problem. But yeah, the other comes into it, trying to get involved. Like at the minute, I've got a bit of Act 2 behind me of where they're walking through the foundry. And it's the Shadow scared of being in the foundry while the little girl's trying to cover it, trying to help her through it, everything like that, because it's her fault that they're there. But they are trying to comfort each other through it and trying to go through everything until it gets into Act 3 that starts them with the ship riding both of them up, and then there's tension between both of them with blame being passed of why things broke, why they're now lost, and without help, because Act 3, at the end of Act 2, she tells the other to go away, to leave them alone. He's the problem. But Act 3 brings in the new mechanic, the Shadow being able to run on different wall surfaces, so she's able to use the Shadow as the circle to go all the way around to then be on the ceiling, as it were. And the little girl pulling the lever to change the world for Shadow. But the act sort of begins with Shadow apologizing to the girl for being mean, but to try and understand how it wasn't probably the best decision to send away the other. But they're also feeling bad for each other, that they need each other and be able to reach the exit. This also has the other coming and going through white noise collected by the little puzzle origami birds. I don't know what you get if you collect all of them. I didn't, because some of them completely blew my mind in trying to understand where they are and how to get them. And it's also, Matthew. Alright, yeah, the white noise from the origami birds. The last areas of the act that are brought into a circus style area, the Shadow learning more about the little girl, with the little girl showing Shadow through the story of the puzzles, what she wants to remember, and the other girl telling them you need to remember. This also introduces a new mechanic of balloons being popped by thorns so that gets rid of shadows, so Shadow can move through the light to go further on and progress the story, with also somehow tackling the dragon. What's a bit odd. What then goes through you are going through a therapy session of them trying to understand each other, becoming one, because obviously some part of this is separated, and she's trying to get over a problem with these help, really, because that brings us into the final act where they've found each other and can work as one, as a unit, with Shadow being able to take control, I think is what they're trying to say with it, because she's able to control the weird dolls that you see around gets laid down onto a stage area, and she's allowed to take control of that doll on the stage area and move it around to be able to complete the puzzles and use it so she can create shade for the little girl to move around to get onto the finishing circles that you see here at the end that help you progress into further. And the end of this act is a little girl running away from encroaching light to the shadow and then jumping the controller like she did the puppet. But they are now able to be together and stronger. And it basically starts to the start of the screen for where you were in the prologue for Shadow. At the start of the game. You're back to where the swing is, but you're there together. So it's sort of like she's cured herself. But, well, let's actually talk about the gameplay, I suppose. Sort of got you through the story, not greatly, but I got you through it. I didn't want to spoil too much, that's the problem, because you should play it. But the gameplay mechanics is basically, as you can see behind, you're solving puzzle in a 3D world to help the 2D world side of it go. Like the swapping between the characters between it, I'd recommend playing this on a controller, by the way. And you don't get a death mechanic, you get a rewind mechanic. But you're just solving puzzles with each bit bringing in new mechanics, so you can then solve puzzles slightly differently as it adds it to the other mechanic as they slowly increase in difficulty. And it's a puzzler. And at that, it's a very good puzzler. As someone who likes playing indie game puzzlers, this is one of the best I've played. It has a nice story with it that I would like to have been longer. I know it's an indie game, so it's a bit harder for them to lump in an extra 3 to 4 acts. They're trying to push the story on a bit more to make it understand, I guess. Or to flesh out the story a little bit more. And to increase a couple more mechanics into it that sort of are incredibly head scratching. But generally, it's very good. It's got a wonderful soundtrack that's currently playing behind on this video anyway, I hope. And Shadow is voiced by... That's what I want to talk about, the voice actor. And the therapist man, is very good. he sort of plays that part of the therapist quite well. Well, I don't know who voices the little girl. I can't tell you that bit, but the person who voices Shadow is done by Hannah Murray, who was in Skins and Game of Thrones. And she does incredibly well to convey the emotion between both of them. I say that it's not very challenging puzzles. I see the gameplay behind me and I'm not very good, I'll be honest. Because I had to replay it. I should know it. I had to replay it because I forgot to properly record gameplay footage behind just to play while I'm playing this or talking about it and everything else. But yes, it's very good indie game puzzles. It has a good flow of difficulty. The soundtrack changes from when you're in the shadow side to the light side. But it is very, very... It's good. It was worth the... I think it took me 4.5 hours to complete it. It'll probably take you about 6. Trying to figure out for everything for the origami birds to get the 100%. There might be something I'm missing in the game. I didn't actually look. So I might actually have to do that. Go onto YouTube and just see what happens when you collect all the birds. But yeah, it's a very good game. I would 100% recommend it. Whether you buy it for, I think at the time of what I did this video, it was £12.99 on Steam. Or, like I said, as of this video in February 2025, it's free on Game Pass. So, do it, play it, enjoy it, realise that everything I said is probably wrong. But don't worry about that. Just enjoy puzzling. Enjoy having a couple of hours of trying to figure out the puzzles while going through someone's journey through therapy on how to find yourself. But that's sort of all I can say about it, really. I know this is my first video. There's going to be so much wrong with it. There's going to be so much wrong. I know that me in front of this or this, I don't know what side the camera is probably incredibly jarring because I don't have a proper green screen and everything behind it's going to look incredibly bad. But I do plan on doing more of these. I think I'm not going to write out as much as what I did for this. I think I'd rather put out bullet points and try and have me explain them. That would mean a lot more ums and ha's. But it's going to be better than me trying to read a script. Because me reading that and then trying to put my expression over for it isn't going to be as good. And I can promise you that for nothing. But yeah, we'll do that, edit out some bits of this video, and we'll see what next game we play. Whether it's going to carry on being indie games, or if we're going to move on to some of the bigger games. Or if I play anything with someone else, if I do it as a get their thoughts on it as well. And record their thoughts for it. Because I think that's quite a good thing to do for, say, a game that can be multiplayer. Is to bring over the thoughts of someone else who's playing with you. Because they might see it in a different light to what you are. So I'll see about that as well. And they're probably better spoken than what I am as well. Because I'm useless. Because I hate speaking to people. It seems a really bad idea to sort out a YouTube channel, doesn't it? And stream when you hate speaking to people. But anyway, Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me I'm awful. And I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye.